Hello and welcome. If you haven't already realized, we are doing not one, but two primary arms 3x red dot magnifiers. Why two at the same time, you ask? Well, I got them both at the same time, and I figured why not? These aren't going to be very long videos independently, so I might as well do these side by side. But before I get started, I have to thank you, more specifically my Patreon supporters, for making this video possible, because I bought these with my own money, mainly for my Patreon, to bring these here for review. My Micro 3X Vortex Magnifier that I reviewed from Scott is doing extremely well, and you know what? I figured let me spend some money and get some more magnifiers in here to give you guys what you want. Without further ado, let me introduce these two guys. So we have the standard 3X magnifier and the long eye relief version. This goes for $70. This goes for around $100. So first off, let's put the long eye relief to the side and take a look at the lesser expensive one. Primary Arms does a good job with their boxes. I've had a couple of scopes from them in the past, and even though I didn't really care much for the optic, the boxes are, more than sufficient. Give you a lot of nice information, beautiful colors, solid layout, and they feel very strong. It's nice to know that your optic is at least not going to be jumping around in there too much, even though you could hear there's a little bit of play side to side. Pull this out. Got one piece of foam. I did buy these on eBay, however, from Primary Arms. Even though I bought them for a lower price, they might have been used, they might not have been, but either which way, they look and appear basically new. This is just a little bit of cardboard rubbing off on the outside of the optic. Let's see what they got. A little silica gel, a little cleaning cloth on the bottom. There's everything you're going to need to know, and that's basically it. So let's take a look at this. Right off the bat, it's made in China, but for $70, you can't expect much more than that. There is your model number, and well, that's really it. There's not much to a magnifier, which is one of the attractions, I feel. They're very simple devices. They work with three adjustments, really: windage, elevation, and your diopter, which, speaking of, is very smooth and has a ton of adjustability. Very fine thread on there. You could see how little the gap is moving every time I rotate this. So I'm sure you won't have any problems dialing this in as close as you can. There you go. As basic as you can ever get for your windage and elevation. Up and left with arrows. There's no need to have any sort of marking on this for what the increments are, because you're just going to be using this to center your red dot reticle basically in the middle of your magnifier, so there's no real need to have anything precise, which is one thing that I like. As for how these sound, they sound pretty good. Positive click, you can feel it through the penny. I'm sure there's going to be no problem with me adjusting this to get it to the point where it's going to make the reticle dead center. I have no reason to really be concerned about that. 30mm main tube ensures that you can use basically any either independent specialized magnifier mount, or you can use any standard ring like I plan on using. I do not have any magnifier specific rings, so I'm going to use some of these Monstrum 30mm. I think these are high mounts. Just throw it on there and then just nut on and off, nice and easy. I'll be doing that later though, not right now. As far as looking through this, we'll take a look at that in a little bit. Right now, let's take a look at the long eye relief version. So this comes in at $30 more. And without really spending too much time behind these, I can tell you that I'm already going to like this more, primarily because my main complaint with the Vortex Micro 3X was how close you had to be to it to look through it properly. And anything that's going to have long eye relief on this is going to be, in my opinion, automatically better. That is, of course, assuming that this is going to be close to the Vortex Micro 3X as far as eye relief goes. This is the exact same as the last one. This is actually a Gen 4 magnifier. It says Gen 3 on top. Oh no, Gen 4 and Gen 3. So they're the exact same piece of paper for both. As far as what you get a cleaning cloth. This one at least comes with a little bag, nicely fitted foam. And look at that, bikini caps. I like bikini caps. They work well. I don't ever shoot with them on, but you could if you really needed to, which is a nice feature. But they also come off fairly quickly. They don't obscure your view through your optic, and you can throw them in a bag and they take up minimal space. You inlay the front to rear like that, you don't really have much going on. Again, the box is very primary arms, which is nice. You know, I like seeing nice boxes. Unless, of course, you know, the box is way nicer than the optic, in which case, put the money into the optic. So, slightly different features right off the bat, especially size. You can see the LER, the long eye relief version. That's a Gen 4 as opposed to a Gen 3. Is already shorter and has a much smaller profile off the front. Other than that, though, the controls look almost identical, with the exception of the rubber on the ocular adjustment. Rear diopter adjustment feels about the same. A little bit more tension on this one, but still very smooth and very, very finite. You can hear the threads inside. Not binding, just being fairly tight tolerance. There's very little to no wiggle in there, which is always nice to see. They are identical, left and up. Yep, that sounds identical. This one has a slight different tone to it, but the clicks are still very positive and very engaging. You don't ever have to worry about these getting bumped out of place. It requires way too much force to do so. So real quick, let's take a look at these and see what they look like. So we're going to start off with the regular 3x magnifier, which is the non-long eye relief. And right off the bat, with it in place, you can see that there's a lot of the scope body showing. You know, you can't expect much for $70. In this case, you can't even really expect really clear glass. There's definitely deformation going on, color shift, and it doesn't appear that sharp, doesn't appear that bright either. There's definitely low quality levels of glass in this magnifier. That's just saying the least amount right now. I want to really run this through its paces like I would anything else and see really how well it works. Moving on, let's take a look now at the LER, or long eye relief version. And right off the bat, you can see that not only is the scope body a little bit smaller, at least to my naked eye, it appears a lot smaller, but the image looking through it is significantly better. Way, way, way better. Almost on par, as I would say on initial looking, almost as good as the Vortex that I had reviewed. And that's pretty impressive. Another nice thing is this thing does have a lot more forgiving eye relief. So it's probably a good ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch farther away and still maintaining good visibility through it, which is something that I really like to see in a magnifier. Sharpness looks good, colors look good, brightness looks good, way better than the non-eye relief version, or in this case the Gen 3. So without really getting too crazy, I could already say that without hesitation, the Gen 4 is significantly better than the Gen 3. I'm going to find out even more so when I put these through their paces, but so far, for an extra $30 or 30% more than this, actually no, it would be more like 45% more than this, this is already coming out on top. But this is just a basic unboxing. I will get to the full tabletop review on these very soon, because I'm curious to see how well they work behind a myriad of different red dots. So that's going to conclude this unboxing. Thank you very much for watching, and a huge thank you to all my Patreon providers for making this video possible. See you again next time.